Magic is a complicated game. Folks, how complicated is Magic from 1 to 10?
12.
Fine.
So naturally, you make many mistakes and we show you how to fix them. You are using your mana inefficiently.
No, am I?
Everybody does.
Oh.
It's the reason you lose.
What am I doing wrong?
Because when you end a game of Magic and you have cards in your hand that you didn't play, well, you lost resources because you didn't use them. Let's imagine a scenario where you have 4 lands, a 2 mana, a 3 mana, and a 4 mana creature, and the 3 mana creature is very good. What do you play?
I'll play an island and cast a Kenku Artificer.
Jamin, that is very mana inefficient.
I'll cast my Archaeomancer
Very good.
and I get back my Ephemerate.
Yes, now that you've spent 4 mana on your 4th turn, you can spend 5 mana on your 5th turn.
So when I untap and I get to play another land, I have 5 to cast my 3-drop and my 2-drop.
Hey! So, what you can do is actually plan what mana you're going to use and then spend it when you can. So right now, you can play a 4-drop, and then next turn with a 5th land, you can play the 3-drop and the 2-drop, spending all your mana.
So what you mean is that if Yaman plays a 3-drop on this turn, on the next turn, he can, when he's got 5 mana, he can either only play a 4-drop or only play a measly 2-drop.
I'll avoid that next time. The next mistake you're committing also has to do with mana, but not directly with spending mana. What do you have to do to spend mana?
Make mana.
And to make mana, you have to play lands. And while you might think it's very random of how many lands you draw each game, you actually have a great way to influence how many lands you draw each game. What would that be?
Stacking your deck.
Or
Oh, is it playing more lands?
it's playing more lands. If you don't draw lands, just include more lands in your deck. Of course, there's variance in this game, and sometimes you will get screwed over and you won't draw any of them. But please stop replacing perfectly good lands that produce mana with random spells that sound exciting but don't produce mana.
I really want to play these Meeting of Minds, but I already have 60 cards. I guess I can play 2 less lands. But then don't you just draw too many lands and get swamped?
Yes, you can go overboard with too many lands, right? Like, there is a point where it gets too much. But the ground rule is, it really doesn't hurt to be able to cast your spells. But if you do want to get into the nitty-gritty, then please either read Frank Carson's articles or do the math yourselves. It's interesting to do, actually, like to get a glimpse behind deck building.
I remember back then, we played 23 to 24 lands in every deck. Doesn't matter control or aggro because, well, that's about the right number. Nowadays, we're up to like 27 and 28. There are so many good lands you can just play.
Yeah, the thing is, if you're playing less colors, if you're playing 2 or less colors, especially if you're a monocolored deck, there are so many powerful lands that also have abilities built into them. So even if you drew too many lands, they will sometimes make you creatures. They can attack. They can do a variety of things. You can make your creatures unblockable.
Baseline, play more lands. And if you really, really think you're having too many lands, then do the math.
No, but you have lands that cycle, lands that scry, lands that surveil now.
Frank Karsten.
You are protecting your life total too much. And let me ask you a question. How much is win worth when you win 20 life or 1 life?
It's the same win. A W is a W.
It's the same! So, new players really like blocking when they don't need to and just take the damage. I will attack with my 4-power creature.
I wonder if we should block.
Yeah, let's block.
Are you sure you want to block? Because you have 20 life. And if you maybe play something next turn for 5 mana, that could be much better.
Oh, did we make a mistake?
That's right. So we don't block.
Okay, so you take 4. It's your turn.
We'll draw. Oh, yes.
Yeah, wow, that worked out perfectly.
We'll play a forest and use the Lanoa Elf to cast a Mole Drifter.
How? Serendipitous.
I concede. Jokes aside, you see that blocking prevented 4 damage, but you actually really used the mana to play something a turn earlier, which basically gave you 4 mana for free.
And it does feel like the mana was worth more as a resource than my life.
Yes, and next turn you can block if you want to, or when you go down to 6 or 8, you know?
Yeah, we paid 4 life to keep a creature in play and make 1 extra mana the next turn at least. I would usually very happily pay 4 life to get a 1/1 and make 1 land.
Usually, it's a good idea to postpone losing your cards as late as possible. It might seem easy to block because it's 4 damage and you don't really use your Llanowar Elf anymore, but you have 20 life. Why wouldn't you take 4 damage once or twice and see maybe you needed 4 more mana in the future?
There is a point to having more mana.
Yeah, and you can always block next turn. Well, and then they remove your creature. Apropos remove a spell.
You are using your removal spells too early. It's time to stop.
but I want it now.
So often, I play against an opponent, I play a creature, I can't wait for the next banger creature in my hand to come down, and they just remove the creature I played. I'm like, okay, that's fine, because I get to play the other one.
But I've learned that their creature is scary, so I feel like I should remove it.
Well, so it's confusing when you
I feel like I should remove it.
confusing when people tell you to use your mana efficiently, and you're like, okay, on turn 2, I have a removal spell. They played a creature. I should probably get rid of this creature. There's many cases in which if you kept that removal for a point where you actually need it, and this ties in with what you said about using your life total as a resource. If you watch any video we have with maybe Andrea Mengucci or Frank Karsten, sometimes they'll have a removal spell in hand, and they'll take damage from a creature. They could have gotten rid of it and saved that damage, but they kept that removal spell in case something else better came in later on. And sometimes that's what made them win the game.
That especially counts for when you could handle creatures with your creatures, like blocking.
Yeah. What if you draw a creature that's slightly bigger than the one attacking you in a turn or two, and then you can use that removal spell for something you normally couldn't have gotten rid of?
Yeah, or it doesn't need to attack and you really need to kill it with a creature spell.
Let's show a scenario.
Oh, yeah, that's a one of fun over in the deck.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, hey, look at this, that's fun. And also exile, so if there is any graveyard recursion, from any opponents, this card is gone for good.
Yeah, and he did have the option to smite that. Decides against it, and here is Shieldred to start picking away at Reed's life total.
And the best way to fix this, the way most people learn about these kind of things, is you watch better players than you play, and you learn. You play with better players. You think, oh wow, they use a removal spell later. Why did they not? Maybe you can ask them. People like Talf, learn from them. They're good at Magic. They've played a lot of it.
This one is my favorite because it's by far the most counterintuitive. Sometimes you really want to do something to save your position, but it's the wrong thing to do because you can't win anymore.
So you're at 9, right?
I am.
And I'm at 6?
Yes.
I'll attack you with 2 3/3s.
These are dangerous very quickly. I'll lightning bolt one.
Okay. You're at 6?
I go down to 6.
I'll play a 4/3 dinosaur. Elf. Shaman is not a dinosaur.
I'll untap, and I will draw. Oh no.
Oh.
This is the face of a man who realized he could have won that game.
Because I'm at 2 lightning bolts away from death.
Yeah, you had the decision of either prolonging the game, now you live one more turn, or winning the game, even though you still had to draw another lightning bolt.
Can I take that back?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I'm at 6, right? And you're at 9?
Yes.
I'll attack with 2 3/3s.
I'll lightning bolt you.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, making a statement. I'm at 3. So are you. I'll play a 4/3 dinosaur that's not a dinosaur.
I'll untap, and I'll draw, and I'll lightning bolt you.
What a surprise, I'm dead.
Sometimes in Magic you have the decision prolonging a game, but eventually not having any chance of winning. So you have to figure out what you have to do to have the highest amount of winning. And obviously you have so many cards in hand, so many creatures.
There's probably a lot of creatures hiding there.
Killing one creature will just prolong his inevitable death. But you used the lightning bolt correctly to give you a chance, and obviously you drew it.
I like also the exact opposite way of this is sometimes you're winning a game and you think, how do I lose this? And sometimes you take some game actions that are specific. They don't make any sense in the situation you are because you're winning, but it's the only way to prevent yourself from, you think, what could they top deck? What do they have in their deck that would make me lose? And sometimes you realize the corner case and it saves your life.
So it like avoids them drawing the 1 in 60 card?
Like you're playing Boggles. And they could draw Liliana at some point. You know they have option to potentially play it, so you're going to play another creature. It's not winning you the game, you're winning anyways, but just in case.
So those were 5 mistakes that you make and how to fix them, but you have more mistakes naturally. We give you 2 more mistakes that you make and how to fix them in the article linked down below.
So in the pinned comment.
So if you want to get better, well, click that. It's very helpful. And if you ever in a life situation feel like I'm doing something horribly wrong, just ask yourself WWFKD.
What does that mean?
What would Frank Karsten do?
Oh,
What would Frank Karsten do?
Frank Karsten.
Frank Karsten.
Frank Karsten.
I wonder what Frank is doing right now.
Maybe he's asking himself what would Frank Karsten.
Probably playing the optimal amount of lands.
Frank
Do
Karsten.
you think when he brushes his teeth, he goes like, 2 plus 2?
I think he counts them.
The teeth?
Yeah. And the percentage of efficiency with the toothbrushing.
Frank Karsten.